teaching English or other languages in the Czech Republic and getting a visa based on that. Because teaching English is still one of the most common ways for native English speakers to get a visa, come to the Czech Republic, settle down, and then maybe like figure out the next steps. But teaching English is still pretty straightforward and good visa option. It does not specifically apply only to like native English speakers and not to English only, but of course it's the demand for English, learning English is the highest. So you can get a visa as a French teacher or a Spanish teacher, German teacher, other languages as well, but it might be a bit more complicated for you to find the jobs in that field because there are not that many there as for English teachers. But on the other hand, even if you're not a native speaker, you can still get a visa. We've had Russian English teachers, we had Ukrainian English teachers, we've had people from like several African countries who came here successfully as English teachers. So it does not limit you only to being like a native speaker, but you need to have some experience, education in that field, or both ideally, and some kind of a track record. So now, as for the actual visa options, there are generally two visa options I want to talk about today for English teachers. One, which would generally speaking, be better for you as the teacher or as the person moving here, is an employee card. Meaning that you find a job which is willing to kind of sponsor you, employ you, and help you with the employee card application. Why is it better for you is that your involvement in the whole process and like the visa process, and especially after that with all the taxes and social security, healthcare, all that is lower. Because if you get employed as a teacher or any other profession, but we're talking about teachers. So if you get employed as a teacher, all the social security, healthcare, income tax, that's deducted from your salary automatically by your employer. You don't need to worry about anything. You just receive the net pay. So that's one of the great advantages. Also, the employee card, if you get employed as a teacher, is a residence permit for 2 years. So for a longer period than the other option I will be talking about. And it's a pretty strong residence status. So it's, in theory or generally speaking, better for you. Kind of a disadvantage there is that you need to commit to one employer, and changing employers might be a bit difficult, or there are some rules for that you just need to stick to. With the other option, which is the business visa, I'll talk about it in a second, you are more flexible and you're not attached to one employer, you are not even attached to one field. So the employee card would be generally a better option, but you need to find employer willing to sponsor you for that, meaning that they are willing to help you with the whole process. And that's for teachers. It's kind of, I don't want to say rare or it's not very common, but it must be a specific situation. So usually like language schools will not really offer you an employment. For whatever reasons, I can cover that some other time, or I'd probably cover that anyway, but language schools generally will not offer you employment. If you want to get employed as a teacher, then you would need to be looking for like a public school, let's say, be it a kindergarten, be it a primary school, be it a secondary school, high school, be it a university, but like some of these like official teaching authorities, official teaching, like official schools, let's say. Those not even might prefer that, but they will probably not even, it's not possible by the law. They will not risk hiring you as a freelancer, so they will always prefer employment. On the other hand, these schools, like the public schools willing to employ, might be private, but I guess you know what I mean, like teaching in a school which is like an official teaching authority, not just like a private language school, but like an official high school, official university, official primary school. Doesn't have to be necessarily like Czech public school, it can be like a British school in the Czech Republic, can be American school in the Czech Republic, can be different like schools, but like an official school. So there are two main criteria for these kind of schools to hire you. First, you need to start the process in time, so enough in advance. So now I'm shooting this video first week of June, and that's kind of like late already, because usually these kind of schools want you to start the school year, which is like that starts from the 1st of September. So they usually want you to start a week in advance, so you get time to prepare and like get familiar with the school and everything. So starting the process now might be already a bit too late, because it's very unlikely that you will be able to start teaching officially on a contract, everything at the end of August, if now it's the beginning of June and you haven't started the process yet. So that's one thing, because these schools cannot really, I mean, like afford, or they don't want to change teachers during the school year, because the kids get attached to the teacher. Also, starting late is a bit problematic with public schools. They need to have like the schedule set and everything. So usually you would need to, if you want to get this kind of opportunity, usually that would happen at the end of the previous school year or in the beginning of the new one, or a new year, I mean, like January, February, because then there is still enough time to make it happen until the end of August. But now, June, July, August, that for most of the schools, it might be already a bit too late to start the process now. Second thing is that they usually don't look at like TEFL certification or CELTA or anything like that. They look for like education in teaching, so like a bachelor's degree, master's degree, and experience in that, because it's a bit different if you study for 3 years to be a teacher than if you just take like 1 month long course as the like teaching English as a second language. So that's the difference. But if you have the experience, if you've taught at some public school, high school, primary school, then you have pretty good chances of getting a job like that, given you start in time. The other option for teachers, which is the most common one, and it's kind of a bit more flexible as well, gives you a bit more like options, is the business visa, freelance visa, self-employed visa, živno visa, whatever we call it. It's all the same thing. And you get a trade license, you become a freelancer in the Czech Republic, and you apply for a business visa based on that. That's the most common way of becoming a teacher and getting a visa as a teacher. For a couple of reasons. For the non-public schools, meaning like private language schools, or like smaller private maybe kindergartens, probably not really from first graders higher, like primary schools, secondary schools, probably that will not work out there. But for some smaller kindergartens, they might still hire you as a freelancer under the business visa, and they would prefer it instead of employing you. So yeah, but usually the business model or the trade license scenario works for private language schools which teach language in companies or public courses, just these kind of clients. It's better for the company you will be working for, because they don't need to be that much involved in the whole process. If they were to employ you and help you apply, kind of sponsor you for the employee card, they need to be very much involved in the whole process. If they want to hire you as a freelancer, they don't have to. So they basically just like support you in a very limited way, and that's it. The majority of work is on your side. Also, it's usually way cheaper for them to hire you as a freelancer, because then you are responsible for your own taxes, your own social security, your own healthcare. You pay that on your own. You do tax returns on your own every year. They don't need to be involved in that. So that's one of the reasons why private schools prefer this way. On the other hand, it's also more flexible for you. So, because when you get the trade license, you become a freelancer. If you become a freelancer, if you get a trade license as an English teacher, doesn't mean that you need to teach only for one school. Doesn't mean that you need to teach for 3 schools. You can, or it doesn't mean that you need to teach at all. You can have your private students. You can teach for schools. And if you are fed up of teaching or whatever, and you want to change your careers and do something else, you can do it, because the trade license allows you to do business in the Czech Republic, to freelance. But it doesn't specifically limit you to one field. You can freelance in up to 82 different fields. So it gives you way more flexibility to actually do something in the Czech Republic. You're not tied to one employer. You're not, if you want to change employers, it's not that complicated. So it basically, because it's B2B relationship between you and the company. So it's basically just about the contract you get and you agree on. It's not, you're not protected, and the employer is neither protected by any like labor laws. So it's more flexible from this perspective as well. Either way, if you apply for the employee card or for the business visa, it works generally the same. That you need to collect a bunch of documents, then you need to take them to a Czech embassy. You cannot apply inside of the Czech Republic. You always need to submit the application through a Czech embassy, and then you wait for the approval. For the employee card, the official approval time is 60 to 90 days. For the business visa, it's 90 to 120 days. And once you, but it can be anything between 10 days and forever, basically. Depends on the case and how well it was prepared, how well you were prepared for the interview at the embassy, all that, on the season. So there are a couple factors that go into play, but yeah, generally these are the official timelines. And then once you get either of those approved, you need to go back to the same embassy where you applied, and you need to do something there. If you applied for the business visa, you just collect the actual business visa. You're good for a year. You can start teaching. There are a couple steps afterwards, but I will not bother you with that right now. I've done other videos about that, or get in touch and I'll be happy to explain via email, or we can set up a call and we can discuss that. So get in touch and I'll be happy to help with that. So I'll not go there, but you basically get the visa at the embassy and you're good to go. For the employee card, you also need to get a visa at the embassy, but it's just a temporary visa for 60 days. And within those 60 days, you need to do some more steps or take more steps in the Czech Republic itself. So you need to go to the Ministry of the Interior, give your fingerprints, they take a photo of you, all that. And then later on, 2-3 weeks later, you will get a residence card. Because for the business visa, it's just a visa sticker in your passport that's issued by the embassy, so that's easy. For the employee card, it's a separate piece of ID. It's like a card with your biometric details, your fingerprints, photo, signature, all that. So that needs to be printed. First, the information must be taken from you, the fingerprints, all that, and then it must be printed. So it takes a bit longer and the process is a bit different. Yeah, so I think this is it. If you have any more questions or if something is not clear, either if you prefer like just being in the virtual space, online space, I've done some videos about that already. So if you go to my channel and search for teaching in the Czech Republic or English teachers, something like that, or business visa, živno visa, you'll find other videos about the similar topic. But if you also want to get more information, like speak in person, come to our office in the center of Prague, or maybe arrange a consultation online, then get in touch. I will share a link to a form which you can fill in the description of the video once I finish the live stream, and I'll be happy to speak with you and find a way for you to move here as an English teacher or any other language teacher. So yeah, thank you very much guys for joining and for watching, and I will see you again next time. Monday, Thursday, until the end of the world. Bye bye. Good night.